Hello everyone, welcome to another Piesta's book reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about this book, Amanda Palmer, The Art of Asking. There's my girlfriend back there. Say hello, Christina. Hello.
Hi.
You should check her booktube channel as well. She has one in Portuguese. I've been reading this book for the last week or so. It's pretty darn good, so I highly recommend it. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what the book is about, and then I'm gonna tell you how it relates, what parts I found it particularly interesting for me. From my experiences on things that are talked about in this book. So, what the book is about? The book is about the story of Amanda Palmer. She's a famous artist, songwriter. She used to work as a statue, like a living statue. She was part of the duo of the Dresden Dolls, and she's been doing some solo work as well. So the book is the story about her, how she became an artist, her days working as a statue, her early musician days, how she became a musician, her initial days when she was giving out demo tapes, which she didn't do very much apparently. The early gigs, how she got into the art collective that kind of helped her create a community around her music. It's about couch surfing, it's about crowdsourcing, living your life on Twitter, how to deal with the internet, the problems with her label. It's also talked about a lot here. She has a particular approach to distributing your work. So she likes to trust people a lot, and have a gradual growth, not try to sell to the masses. She wants to meet every fan, let's call it that. So it's a very particular way of trying to sell your art in this case, or make your art available. And the book is all about asking and learning how to ask and not being afraid to ask, being used to trusting other people. It's a lot about trust and internal struggle. She didn't never seem to have much struggle asking her fans for her work, although there's always this fake police nagging her head that maybe people are going to call her a fake at any time. But she has a lot of issues asking for help from her husband, for example, from Neil Gaiman, and it's also very much talked about on this book. So the book is also about growth, getting used to commitment, growth in relationships, trusting other people blindly, trusting complete strangers. It also mentions a lot of her TED Talk, which has the same name, I believe, The Art of Asking, which became pretty famous at the time it was released. I believe it was 2012 or 2013. The book talks about her relationship with her Twitter fans, that she spends most of her day just tweeting, and that Twitter is a essential tool for her to organize events and random things. Um, it's interesting. We can understand how it works for her. It wouldn't work for all artists. I'll get to that. I'll go back to that later with my particular experience with that. But I just want to finish all the aspects of the book first. What other stuff the book talks about? It talks about dealing with cancer patients, helping other people, internet backlash. She had some problems after her Kickstarter campaign and after the Boston bombing. She said some things that could be taken out of context, and she got a lot of shit for that. And it's hard to explain to people on the internet that what they're saying is wrong, but you feel like shit at the same time while you're hearing all that hatred. So it talks about that a lot, about helping others as well. So it's a very interesting book. I liked it a lot. I was a bit skeptical. I know Amanda Palmer, and mostly because she was married. She is married to Neil Gaiman, and Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite artists. I read a lot of his stuff. I follow him on Twitter, and inevitably I stumbled upon Amanda Palmer. I heard some of her songs. I'm not. I'm big into music, but I'm not big into cabaret kind of music. So I only heard of her. I don't really know much of her songs, And as I was reading the book, some of the songs are actually listed here with the lyrics, and they're contextualized with the rest of the book. So I went back to YouTube and saw the videos, and she talks a lot about how her videos are also crowdsourced. She likes that fans remix her work and do their own videos of her songs, and how that boosts the whole fan community, and that improves sales on its own. Um, which is interesting because it's the opposite of what the mainstream labels usually do. They do the exact opposite. They don't want anyone to remix your work. They don't want any fan-made videos. They want to complete control over the works. And she talks a lot about how that's not the right approach at all in this new millennium, and how it's working out for her, and it's working out pretty good for her, and I highly recommend it. So the points that she made that really resonate with me, as some of you guys know, I'm an artist, but I'm more of an experimental artist. I don't have like a fan community around me. I have like, I don't know, 100 people that know the music I make. When I make some new ones, some people will listen to it, but it's not fan community. I can't, do tours or plan gigs and expect people to show up. Mostly because my music is too experimental, and it has a few concepts. Besides that, my music is all free for download. I only want to share it. I do it as a cathartic process. I just want to share it with other people. If they resonate with it, that's awesome. I gave some gigs, and at the end of the gigs, people come and say that they liked it, and that's the most important thing. It feels like what I was feeling at the time, either if it was loneliness or depression or whatever it was, got transmitted properly, and it resonated with people. It created the empathy, and that's the most important thing that I look for when I'm trying to give a concert. So in that aspect, it works very well. I also run a net label, which is a label that releases music releases completely free online. All our catalog is free for download. We are also in some commercial distribution sites with the lowest price possible. So we just want to have it distributed as much as possible in all platforms possible. The idea is not to make money, it is to promote releases that come out. So in that aspect, I really resonated a lot with the whole music industry aspect that she was talking about in the book. The pay what you want model, I think it's essential for nowadays. I also liked the concept that you trust your fans to pay what they want. Open it completely for remixes, as I already mentioned before. This is something that's very essential to the net audio culture that I follow, and to my particular culture. I also like the remix culture a lot, where it's you just pick up whatever material you want and you use it in whatever way you want and try to make a new art form out of that. I use that sometimes in my albums as sampling, mostly as I sample movies and some documentaries, and I put some vocals in there to try to help either set a mood for the song itself, for the sounds, or have the sounds as some sort of soundtrack to that specific vibe that the speech gives. Also, the speech itself can create some sort of emotions. Even I avoid singing. I usually just use spoken word or cuts from things. But anyways, so I resonated with that a lot. I think it's a bit hard for every artist to do what she did. To grow a community like that, you need to be a lot more outgoing. She also mentions on the book sometimes that the people were shy to ask for money, like with a hat at the end of the show. Like, okay, we are playing here for free. If you want to donate something, please put your money inside the hat. And some people struggled with that and didn't want to pass the hat around because they felt like they were begging. And they felt more comfortable when there was a proper ticket office and people would have to pay for it, and then they would get what they would get. I like the concept a lot more of you experiencing the thing, and after you experience the thing, you pay what you want. I agree a lot with that model. It doesn't work for all artists because they're just not famous enough. When you're a starting artist, you don't have a fan club around you, and mostly where you go to play in places, you don't know anyone except for the person whom booked you or the promoter. So it's hard to connect with your audience in that aspect. It depends a lot on the kind of music that you play. So her kind of music is a lot more, all her songs are very personal, they're very empathic. So I think in that aspect it's a lot easier to connect with the fans than it would be for, I don't know, I'm thinking of experimental music in this particular case. So yeah, it's not for all kinds of music. It works better for singer songwriter as she is, I believe. So yeah. The other aspect that I wanted to talk about is the relationship with Neil Gaiman. I'm such a big fan. It was a really very funny way to discover a bit more about the private life of Neil Gaiman. When you are used to reading so much about specific author, or you read their stories, you undoubtedly you end up wanting to know more about the person themselves. And from what you see and read about Neil Gaiman on Twitter and such, he seems like a great guy. Very humble, very down to earth, very funny person, very sober, and when he's portrayed here in this book, it's completely hilarious. And yeah, it resonates a lot with the image I had of him, and it's nice to see that, you know, famous people are also vulnerable and they also have these weird commitment issues or personal stories, relationship woes, let's call it that. So I really enjoyed reading it, a lot about that. It satisfied all my stalker needs of Neil Gaiman, so I'm a lot happier person now. It's also very interesting to read about Amanda herself. She's a very interesting person. Yeah, I can't think of anything else worth saying about this book. I recommend it. I give it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, so go pick it up. And yeah, let me know what you think. Place your comments below. If you have already read the book, what you think about it. If you're an artist and you're struggling with these kind of crowdsourcing platforms and systems, feel free to share your issues with me. I'm happy to give my insights on that aspect as well, from a hobbyist musician and a net label owner. I know that people have been using a lot more Patreon these days than Kickstarter and those crowdfunding platforms itself. Patreon seems to have really picked up. So that's one of the other things that I wanted to also mention in this video. And yeah, I think that's it. So bye bye, take care, see you next time. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video and all that kind of stuff.